Well, that was an interesting ball game, more so than what we may have thought earlier in the ball game. But alas, the Rays pulled out a win.
Yes, they did. And you know what? After all those cheeky jokes, wondering if the Durham Bulls could ever beat an MLB team, we have that answer after Tuesday's lineup, and that is a resounding yes. Let's talk about it right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on the social medias, X and Instagram at Locked On Rays, and email us anytime, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Well, the Tampa Bay Rays take down the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park by a score of 9-7. The Rays were up 7-0 at one point, and then the score got to 7-6, and then eventually 9-7. And to your point, Ulises, about could the Durham Bulls or a Durham Bulls adjacent squad beat a team like the Boston Red Sox, a middling 500 team in 2023? Well, we sort of more or less got that answer because there were a lot of absentees in the lineup that was for the Rays by maybe a little bit of, I know you don't like this, but trying to slow down and rest some guys and make sure they're as prepped up for the playoffs as possible, and just guys are legitimately hurt and they need some time to heal. So
no, and I've made it very blatant and out there that I think that last year that was a huge mistake, and doing that and basically giving the guys no rhythm going into the playoffs, and you saw how awful those at bats were in game one and game two. This time I think does have a little bit of nuance, and there is a little bit of a difference here. Like you have to give these guys some break, and they are legitimately hurt, and it seems like somebody's got a voodoo doll either in Baltimore or in Toronto, and they're having fun with it. So yeah, right now it's okay, but I do want to see the names, the big names, see some at bats. Maybe half a game, treat it like maybe spring training during the weekend against the Blue Jays. I think that would be most beneficial for them. But do you have the lineup in front of you that actually saw some play tonight? Because I think when you first see this at, let's say, Tuesday at 5 p.m. and you're like, what? Even Trisha, who is pretty on the line, and like she's like, she dances that, hey, we're gonna give it to you, but we're gonna give it to you straight. She even had some fun. She's like, with an interesting lineup, and Mark Topkin said the same thing, like with a funny looking lineup, or I forget the phrase, but if you have that up there, I think people would really appreciate you reciting that.
Yeah, this is a case of load management, if you will. And yeah, if we just go back to April, May, March of this year, you'd see a lot of those names that were in AAA or maybe even AA or high A for that matter as well. Jonathan Aranda, Junior Caminero, where got to tell you again, I am a big Junior fan, and the fact that he's batting second in any order in the big leagues at his age is remarkable. Zack Paredes, familiar name, of course. Josh Lowe, familiar name. Curtis Mead, Manny Margot, Raimel Tapia, Taylor Walls, and Renee Pinto. That was the starting squad.
That sounds like as September call-up as I've ever read a lineup in a while. And that's wild because you don't have that option anymore where, we, Kevin, we are that old that we can say we used to watch September baseball when there was no cap to however many baseball players you could call up. And then you'd have basically lineups of just like Team B playing in September. We don't have that anymore. You get two more. That's it. 28-man roster. And yet, looking at those numbers, if you had given that lineup to us on April 20th, we would have said, what the hell went wrong?
Right. Oh, for sure. This is like a spring training 6th inning lineup, something along those lines.
This is, I'll go even further, Kev. This is the lineup that you play when the other team is in Port Charlotte, and then you had another double squad up in Fort Myers playing the Red Sox.
Yeah. The split squad situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless, this lineup was still able to cobble together 13 hits and 9 runs and go 6 for 14 with runners in scoring position and score in a multitude of ways. We saw doubles, we saw home runs, we saw bloopers, we saw grounders, we saw fielders' choices. We saw a little bit of everything to really scratch across runs here and there throughout the course of the ball game. So that was nice to see. Really, guys just noting the importance of, hey, there's a runner in scoring position, multiple runners in scoring position. My job is to not strike out, but to put the ball in play one way or the other. Okay, if it's a slow bleeder to the second baseman or the shortstop, so be it. I'm going to get that run across and I'm going to get that run scored. But again, shout out to some of the bigger boppers like Rene Pinto. Man, he's got some power. And then Junior Caminero, man, I know it wasn't a homer, but that was a hell of a shot on a breaking ball from, what was it, Taylor Houck, I guess. I mean, you could hear the sound off the bat, and you could hear the sound of the ball off the wall as well. So that's kind of one of those, it's eye-opening, ear-popping power and strength and ability from that cat. I know he only went 1 for 5, and other guys like Manny Margot. Manny Margot is just, racking up the hits. I don't know if there's some clause in his contract if he's got to get to a certain number of hits to, exercise another, $250,000 or something like that. But he is becoming a hitting machine. So, hey, let's ride this hot streak if we can going into the playoffs. That would be nice.
And he missed some time. So when he's come back, I wanted to see, because I was talking to a friend, and he was saying how, oh no, Manny Margot, I got trust in that guy. And I was like, okay, that's let me look deep and see how somebody else's perspective that might not be seeing the data all the time, how Margot is. And so I looked at Margot since September 14th, which is when he came up. He's had 35 plate appearances before today, which he went 4 for 4, by the way. Almost a 300 average, dancing with a 750 OPS. And so those two numbers have increased after Tuesday night's performance. So good to see Manny Margot doing this. I know that some people might not like to see him out there defensively or offensively, but I think when he is given the time and given the right matchups, I think he's more than a solid MLB player.
Yeah.
And right now, with Siri being gone and Randy Arozarena maybe giving some rest, like, it's really nice to know that you have a quality MLB player like Manny Margot in your lineup. And so that's great.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head. Quality MLB player, pretty much a starter quality player. There's a reason that the Rays gave him, a sizable contract and multiple years attached with that. Is he ever going to be an all-star? Probably not, but he can be reliable and relied upon in multiple situations as well. And another note on this game, the weather seemed to be a little chilly. You have that late September vibes up in Boston, and we saw somebody named Pete Fairbanks close out the game, get his 25th save of the year, and a 1-2-3 inning, 3 strikeouts, and did it in very impressive fashion and form, very closer-esque outing with the fastball and the breaking ball. So in this case, anyway, the chilly confines and conditions weren't an issue, because I know Trisha was bundled up. Looked like some of the fans out there were bundled up and uncomfortable. Some of the players bundled up and uncomfortable. So, but Pete, he managed it well, and hopefully that can be kept up going into the playoffs.
Yeah, it was 52 tonight that they're in Boston. So I
Mm-hmm.
put it on X. Thank you. Props to Fairbanks for giving us hope. If you're doing this in 52-degree weather in Boston, well, the first wild card series is going to be played at the Trop. So
There we go.
that ain't 52. That's 72. I know we were there the night of the blow up on Saturday with Fairbanks. Hopefully that's the last of that. Thank you, Pete. You only get one of those, Pete, in late baseball in September. We don't want to see that. That was your last one. You get that.
Yes.
One. That's it.
Yeah. We don't want to have to be in a situation where you're coming from behind to win games and you need miracles from the bats. You need the bats to wake up at the absolute perfect time to pull out a victory. That is not a good formula going forward. We have more to discuss, but first we have to tell you about Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements use physician-formulated, natural, science-backed ingredients. They're also drug-free, patented technology, provides consistent, reliable results as well. It works too. In a clinical study, 84% of men showed improvement in their hair after 6 months taking Nutrafol men's hair growth supplement. So take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men. I'll spell it out for you as well. Nutrafol.com/men, and then enter that familiar promo code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB. All right. Getting to maybe a little bit of a side fun topic here. There was at least one guy in the interesting lineup from tonight's game, Zack Paredes.
Kevin, before we hit that, just want to give you a little bit of thing. There were 5 games before Tuesday's episode, Tuesday game. There were 5 games left. Just making simple math here. Let me put my 5 up here. Okay. Eflin just pitched this game. So that means that there are 4 guys that are going to pitch the next 4 games. Have they just basically told us Zack Eflin is game 1 starter for the wild card game?
Perhaps. It seems like you've looked into this deeper than I have. So is that your premonition? Is that what you're going with? I don't know if it depends on what Tyler Glasnow does in Wednesday's outing, which, man, he could use a good one. We might have to get to that at some point because his performances against teams that are going to be in the playoffs in the American League need some buttering up, if you will. So.
Very good astute point. Twins, not so good. Baltimore, not so good. Jays, not so good. Yeah, because if the wild card game 1 is played on October 3rd, that's a week from Tuesday, which would give him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days rest for Zack Eflin. So I feel like that's the way that they're kind of gonna go. Maybe they shorten Tyler. Maybe they give it to Tyler, and they can be like, Zach, we trust you more with a little bit more rest. But I feel like the fact that they shortened him to 5 innings on Tuesday's game, that might mean a little bit more like, okay, well, with 71 pitches, that's your last tune-up before in a week. I don't know. It was something I wanted to bring up and see what you thought.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the listeners share out there as well. I mean, he's certainly been healthy, available, shown the part this entire season. So, I do like the idea that you brought up previously of having him be the quote unquote stopper, in the playoffs if you get deep enough into the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with all that. So getting back to it a little bit, one guy that was in the lineup, the lighter lineup, the light version of a Rays lineup, Zack Paredes, batted third, was the DH, didn't do much, if anything, in this game. He did score a run, but was 0 for 5. But regardless, I think we should give him credit and kudos for getting to the magic 30 home runs this season and inching closer. I don't know if he's quite going to get there, but very, very close, about as close as you can get to being the 3,100 guy, one of the very few in Rays history that would be able to do that. But it kind of got these synapses firing in the sense of who's going to be the next guy on the Rays active or 40-man roster to do that. And I'm going to add a little asterisk here of maybe take Brandon Lau out of the equation. Another who's going to be a guy who has yet to do that at the major league level. Who is that in 2024, 2025, 2026, whenever? That's currently on the 40-man roster, I guess, for, if we want to go that deep and that far into it. So I just wanted to throw that out there, maybe get some listener insight and thoughts on that. But there's certainly quite a few candidates, maybe some obvious, maybe not so obvious either, but didn't know if you had a viewpoint on all this.
I'll throw the easy one down the middle here. Jose Siri. Yep. I feel like this is a guy who basically was told to unleash this season by Rays front office, by Rays manager Kevin Cash and coaches. They're like, hey, just do you. Just be out there. Whoever you are, that's who we want to see. And he's like, all right, I pop homers and I strike out a lot, and I don't have any sense of what a walk is in my life. And they're like, okay, just do that, do that, and then just give us Gold Glove defense. And that's what he's been providing. So 25 knocks this year. I mean, that's huge, man. I mean,
in 101 games too, from a center fielder, no less. Now his line gives off Javi Baez vibes.
Do you have it in front of you?
Well, I know Siri at this juncture has a 201 batting average and a 267 on base percentage. And the high heat gives him fits. The sweepers down and away gives him fits. But man, when there's a hanging breaking ball, he can do some damage on it. So I hope that he doesn't continue. I hope there's some refinement in his game so that he doesn't totally get exposed down the line. Maybe some sort of minor approach change, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, he seems like he is going to be that guy. You got what you see is what you get.
That is such just a mind-numbingly bleeping line. 224 average, 273. Oh my God. Sorry, 222, 267 on base, 494 slugging.
Is this Baez or Siri?
It doesn't make sense. And oh, by the way, do you have his strikeout rate in front of you, or do you want to guess?
I don't know if we're talking about Jose Siri or Javi Baez. I'm confused now. I'm sorry.
Siri.
Okay. I do not have his strikeout rate, but I know his strikeout rate, whiff rate, and walk rate is like in the first percentile on Baseball Savant.
Okay. Well, his K rate is sitting at a very cool 35.7.
Oh boy.
This guy is striking out at 36% of the time, but he's saying, hey, look, I'm going to give you Gold Glove defense, possibly one day a platinum glove, swag, great clubhouse guy. People are going to have a good time around me, and I'm going to give you 25 Jimmy Jacks, and I can give you 30 next year.
Yeah. You
take that. I mean, I think ultimately you do. And if you want to be analytical, his WRC plus is 106. So he is 6 points better than the average MLB player, which is obviously good, but that's all MLB players. That's not center fielders. Among center fielders, it's probably even better.
Right. And conversely, I mean, going back to Zack Paredes for a second, I don't think he gets enough credit for his approach at the plate. If you look at his walk rate, his whiff rate, his strikeout rate, it's very, very impressive and remarkable for the power that he's delivering. In addition to, if you dive a little bit deeper into the numbers, he's got the highest launch angle of his career, and all of his home runs, which you should know this by now if you've watched enough of them, they are to the pull side. I mean, every single one of them. It is really remarkable that, and it doesn't matter if it's a 96, 97 fastball. He finds a way to turn on it and hit it down the line. That's how he gets a lot of his doubles. But he also has shown and showcased the ability to, maybe not for power so much, but if and when a base hit is needed, he can spray the ball over the field a little bit. He will smartly, astutely, when the moment calls for it, of just a base knock the other way, he can do that as well. So I think that's something to give him a little credit for. And it wasn't that long ago, 2021, where he was a nobody, really, where he had 95 plate appearances, a homer, a 208 batting average, and a 625 OPS. And I remember Kevin Goldstein, who we had on the show a couple of years ago, players, especially young players like him and like he was at the time, they can change in dramatic ways, one way or the other. They can improve significantly, or they can diminish significantly. And this was a case of, he just needed a chance. He needed an opportunity. He needed a place where he would be welcomed, and they see what he can bring to the table, and he thrives from there.
And as a human being, he needs to feel comfortable there too. Like, a lot of things have to go right, and it's great that as a Rays fan we get to enjoy Zack Paredes. He's 24 years old. I mean, this guy is super young. We've said it before, so I'll say it right now. He could be one of those guys that is in the team in 2028 for that new ballpark. I really do think that he could be a candidate for that. He's young enough, and I wouldn't put it past him to want to secure his future earnings with a nice little long-term deal with the Rays. So he's been fantastic, man. I really hope that he doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
Right. And we mentioned it before, the defense that he provides, be it at second or third as well. I do want to kind of give my take. I don't know if it's a hot take, but just kind of my thoughts on who will be, or who could be, that next 30 homer guy besides Siri. I think that he's kind of the next man maybe on the list, assuming that he can play more than 100 games in a season. But we'll get to that. But first, Ulises, we have to tell the audience about something really important.
Yes, and we've been telling you that modern medical care and treatment are important. You know this, and that our global supply chains can be fragile. Things like pandemics, natural disasters, and foreign travel can cut you off from the treatment that you need. And that is where Jace Medical is your solution. So you can fill out their online form, and one of Jace Medical's board certified physicians will review it to determine whether medications are safe and appropriate. Then Jace will send your prescriptions to one of their partner pharmacies, where your order will be filled and mailed directly to your home. That sounds so easy. You can also send your physician a message for answers to treatment-related questions at any time. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace case. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using our code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, at checkout at jacemedical.com. Use promo code LOCKEDON, locked on, at jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com.
Okay, I have two candidates for being 30 homer guys, aside from Zack Paredes. We know Brandon Lau has done it already in his career, and Jose Siri getting very close to that marker before getting hurt here in this case. Junior Caminero, I will continue to be bullish on him going forward. And I will note that dedicated listener Sarah Giberson, I want to shout this out. She talked with the Rays first base coach yesterday, and he said that he is blown away by Junior, and there is something special about him. And then she also brought up the point, maybe he's a saving grace and a big difference maker in the playoffs, especially with all the injuries that are afoot. Maybe not quite to the Randy 2020 experience, but maybe making his name and footprint known. So that's one name I'll throw out there. Then another is Josh Lowe. He's got 19 homers and 80 RBI in 132 games this season, 30 doubles as well. And I went and looked at his spray chart. You could probably count out about 8 to 9 of those extra base hits, mostly doubles and then a triple here and there, that are very, very close to being homers, whether they were off the wall or just nicking the wall or getting to the warning track in some shape or form. So I think he could be a candidate. Big power, easy power. He handles all types of pitches well. Maybe a little bit of a detraction is the fact of his struggles against lefties. So that might mitigate playing time to some extent. And he's not always going broke for the power. He's also, patient in the sense of, hey, if the roll calls for me just getting a base hit, I can do that. But he seems like he could, maybe have the potential down the line to get to the big 3-0. So that's what I would just say or add. As far as my thoughts, I think a guy like Yandy, again, I think he's more of a max out at 135, 140 games. He'll give you, this is probably going to be his career high or close to it, which I'm fine with. Just take this line, repeat it for a couple of years. Hey, we'll accept that.
100%.
Randy, again, he seems like what you're going to get year in and year out. And I think he'll pretty much max out at 23, 24, 25 home runs. And then I'll give you the stolen base component, the double component, and then, an OPS of, 810, 820, whatever it may be.
I don't
Rayleigh, I don't think he'd get enough playing time. Pinto, he's got the power to be have a Mike Zunino-like season, but will he get the playing time? That's another question as well. So.
Yeah. No, I to go back to your Josh Lowe pick, I don't hate it at all. I mean, if you look at expected home runs by park, there are a couple of Cincinnati, you're looking at 25, Dodger Stadium, you're looking at 26, Brewers, you're looking at in Milwaukee, you're looking at 26, like for this year, in a year that he's got 19. So you're not far away from the truth. And when you do look at his spray chart, if you guys have the 5 minutes, look at Josh Lowe's spray chart. It's pretty funky how he does have like about 9 or 10 doubles in a single triple, where that could have been gone. Yeah, that could have easily been gone. And if 50% of those would have been gone, you're looking at a guy that's like matching Siri at 25.
Yeah, and maybe he has a jump like Zack Paredes from 2022 to 2023. Maybe that's Josh Lowe 2023 to 2024, where, Josh Lowe, didn't play. It was a wacky 2022 season. This is really his true rookie year and true, getting legitimate playing time and opportunities, and just maybe being able to build on that can be something special for next year and beyond.
And he has an 816 OPS, a 286 average, and knocking on the door of 20 home runs with 32. He can possibly be a 20-30 guy in his first full season. Josh Lowe has done exactly what we expected of him, just 1 year late.
Right.
Which is okay, because it's not linear, people. Let's remember that. They're young players. We have to have patience.
And he wants to compete with his brother. He wants to outpower his brother in some regard, who I'm looking at his numbers right now. 3 consecutive years of playing, 155 to 100, 155 plus games. That's pretty good durability right there for Mr. Nathaniel.
Last year, one of our prop bets, I said Josh Lowe is going to have a higher than 771 OPS because Nathaniel Lowe had a 771 the year before, 771 OPS. He obviously came way underneath that at 627 last year. So I lost that prop bet. This year, he's making me look like I was just a year too early. 816 OPS, just way above and beyond that 770. I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And last thing here, quick, brief trivia question. There are 12 guys, 12 individuals who have crossed the 30 homer plateau in a Rays uniform. Can you rattle them off in 30 seconds, or rattle as many as you can in 30 seconds? Go.
Pena.
Yes.
Huff. Longo. Brad Miller. Logan Morrison. Austin Meadows. Brendan Lau. Mike Zunino. Isaac Paredes. Missing Devil Race here. Canseco?
Keep going.
I'm missing young ones. Dickerson did it? No. I'm missing something.
30 seconds. Okay. No, you did a really, really good job for being put on the spot like that. Did you mention Steven Souza?
Son of a bleep. No.
Okay, that's one. Did you mention CJ Crone?
2018 wonder. Yes. No, I did not.
Did you mention, I'm having trouble reading my handwriting, but Fred McGriff?
I did. I think I did.
Okay.
I think
we'll have to go back to the tape on that. I think
people on YouTube, tell me if I did. Yeah.
I think you got everybody else. Souza, Miller, Crone, Pena, Longo, McGriff, Zunino, Meadows, Huff, Canseco, Logan Morrison, and Brandon Lau. That's what I got in front of me anyway. So very good. So that's the list. That should be held up in infamy. So all right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.